been horrible.
Wanting justice for his 17-year-old son who was killed by a former Greenwood Village police officer.
I don't want this case to fall by the wayside.
This father is now filing a lawsuit against the officer and claims his son pointed a gun in self-defense.
I feel this is the best way to get justice and accountability for Peyton.
Aurora paramedics may soon have a new tool at their disposal. But is it any better than the other sedative that is now banned from their department?
It's been heavily used in EMS for 30 to 40 years, going back to the early 90s.
This drug is fairly safe.
And wanting the records unsealed.
Upholding the rule of law means applying the law evenly, without fear or favor.
The Attorney General wants to set the record straight about the search warrant served at Mar-a-Lago.
I will not stand by silently when their integrity is unfairly attacked.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News on Local 3. I'm Jessica Porter.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. A former Greenwood Village police officer facing several charges, including second-degree murder for shooting and killing a 17-year-old.
Now the teen's father has also filed a civil suit against the former officer. Denver 7's Colette Bordelon joins us live in the studio, breaking down what led up to this point.
This is the video behind me, captured by a doorbell camera in Aurora that's still hard for Todd Blitzstein to see. It's from right before Thanksgiving of last year and shows the ending of what police say started as an argument about careless driving. Now, Peyton, Todd's son, is the one who died right after this shooting. He was hit at least 4 times. The man charged in his murder is Adam Holland, who was also shot but survived. The arrest papers say he was drunk at the time of the shooting. Now, Peyton's father has filed a wrongful death lawsuit. His lawyer says these cases are normally settled before a trial. It is important to note the teen was found with a gun he fired that appeared to be made from different parts and had no serial number on it, which points to it being a ghost gun, meaning it can't be traced back to a manufacturer.
Yeah, Peyton was underage and he had a weapon, but I mean, there's a lot of people in this country who have weapons who shouldn't have weapons, and it's perfectly legal for them to have a weapon.
I don't want this case to fall by the wayside. And I feel this is the best way to get justice and accountability for Peyton.
Holland has a court appearance coming up at the end of August on the criminal side of things. Blitzstein's attorney says the civil suit would begin once those criminal proceedings finish. I reached out to Holland's attorney for his criminal case, and they said they were busy tonight, but I'm working to try and get a statement for Denver 7 at 10. Live in the studio, guys.
Thanks. We'll see on top of this. Thank you, Colette Bordelon, tonight. The 5 former Aurora police officers and paramedics involved in the 2019 death of Elijah McClain will be arraigned tomorrow. A grand jury indicted the men on a combined 32 counts, including manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide.
Elijah McClain died nearly 3 years ago after he was injected with a high dose of the powerful sedative ketamine. The city of Aurora has since banned its use, and now Aurora Fire has another alternative sedative in mind to use in the field. Denver 7 investigative reporter Jennifer Kovaleski breaks it down.
It's a rapid-acting sedative called droperidol. The drug is used to treat patients who may be agitated or aggressive. Aurora's medical director spoke about it with city leaders this morning. And it came with questions after what happened to Elijah McClain.
It's been heavily used in EMS for 30 to 40 years, going back to the early 90s.
He's talking about the drug droperidol. Aurora Fire Rescue wants to add the sedative to its medical toolkit to treat patients who are experiencing a high level of agitation. The drug will be used in situations where they would have previously administered ketamine.
Every Denver Metro agency uses this approach as well.
Aurora banned the use of ketamine shortly after the death of Elijah McClain. McClain went into cardiac arrest after paramedics injected him with a heavy dose of the sedative.
So when the ambulance gets here, we're going to go ahead and give him some ketamine.
3 police officers and 2 Aurora Fire paramedics are now facing criminal charges for his death, leaving Councilwoman Danielle Durinsky to question the introduction of a new sedative.
I just am having a really hard time talking about our Aurora firefighters injecting anybody with anything while we have 2 up for murder right now.
We spoke to 2 experts about droperidol.
It works as a tranquilizer. But it has had other uses in terms of relief of nausea and relief of other agitation.
Both said it's safe when used appropriately.
This drug is fairly safe, meaning that it is very rare that the drug itself, when utilized in that appropriate context, will have those side effects.
So I think that droperidol is, I would say, probably 70 to 80% of what I use for sedation in the emergency department.
Dr. Chris Colwell, who is the former medical director at Denver Health, believes using sedatives are a safer option than restraining someone in an agitated state.
But to not have the ability to appropriately sedate a patient when that is necessary, I think really does represent a risk to those patients and to providers.
Both experts noted that this drug does have a black box warning from the FDA that significantly reduced its use in the early 2000s. But the drug is making a comeback. They also said the heart complications were attributed to much higher doses than typically given on an EMS call. I'm Denver 7 investigative reporter Jennifer Kovaleski.
The man who tried to break into the FBI office in Cincinnati wearing body armor and armed with a nail gun has been killed. Ricky Schiffer led police on a chase and shot at officers following him this morning. The FBI says it's looking into whether this man had ties to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Also, the New York Times is reporting the man expressed desire to kill FBI agents online shortly after former President Trump's Florida estate was searched.
The Washington Post now reporting the classified documents investigators were looking for were related to nuclear weapons.
And now Attorney General Merrick Garland wants to unseal the documents related to the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago.
Reporter Jonathan Karl has more from the AG, who is now defending his department and the FBI from current attacks.
New details into the FBI's raid of Donald Trump's Florida home, Mar-a-Lago. Sources familiar with the matter tell ABC that in the spring, the former president received a subpoena for documents related to what he is believed to have taken from the White House and failed to turn over to federal investigators. It's not clear whether Trump provided any documents in response to the subpoena. Following the subpoena, federal officials visited with Trump in June, and prior to that, the National Archives retrieved 15 boxes, some of them classified, that Trump had previously taken. Republicans have been demanding FBI Director Christopher Wray or Attorney General Merrick Garland explain why they raided a former president's home. The Department of Justice has a long-standing policy of not discussing an ongoing investigation, but this afternoon, Garland broke his silence.
The Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week. I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter.
Since the raid, there have been calls for a civil war, threats of violence against the FBI, and even unfounded accusations that some agents may have behaved improperly.
I will not stand by silently when their integrity is unfairly attacked.
Now, Trump and other Republicans are capitalizing financially on the situation, fundraising off the raid and Trump's other legal troubles, calling them a never-ending witch hunt. Those include a criminal investigation in Georgia of Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the state's election results. And on Wednesday, Trump sat for a civil deposition with New York Attorney General Letitia James, who is investigating whether the Trump family business misrepresented the values of certain properties to pay less in taxes. Em Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
Another member of the Trump administration set to meet with the House committee investigating the January 6th Capitol riot. Tomorrow, lawmakers are scheduled to talk with former National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien. CNN reports say O'Brien was involved in high-level talks about removing former President Trump from office via the 25th Amendment following that insurrection. O'Brien, though, has denied those claims.
Well, students are starting to arrive at CSU, but not all who want to will be living on campus. We told you last week how the Best Western University Inn is turning 70 rooms into temporary dorms. Students were able to start moving in today. CSU doesn't have enough space for 400 to 500 freshmen. One of the dorms, West Fall, is being renovated in October. Those students will have to live in the hotel to start the semester.
It's right across the street from campus, and a lot of times it'll be a shorter walk to class from here than it would be from some of the other dormitories on campus.
2 RAs will move into the hotel to keep an eye on students. CSU says it hopes to get students back on campus as soon as they can.
Last year, Denver 7 Investigates uncovered a parking garage in the metro that was a frequent target of thieves.
Now, Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski is asking questions about the lack of accountability and lack of action by the people who own that garage.
It's a location that's had a significant number of catalytic converter thefts in the Denver metro area. We pointed out the problem more than 4 months ago. We asked RTD back then if they would make changes. Now we've gone back for a closer look. Has anything changed? That's our question.
I don't know what it takes to make them take action.
It's surprising that something hasn't been done before now.
Nothing on the entrance that I saw, no cameras that I can see, nothing in place, there's nothing.
What we found is 13 additional thefts and very few changes. Tonight at 10, we invite you to join us on Denver 7 as we take you inside our investigation, asking tough questions to RTD. What have they changed, and when will they change it? I'm Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski.
Here's some pushing and shoving. Here we go, man. That's it. It was going to happen at some point.
The Broncos get in a little skirmish with the Cowboys, or two.
More contact, more pushing and shoving, and there's the flag. Couple of hands thrown. But the rest of today's joint practice, smooth sailing.
Yeah, it was a great day for us. Just having all the fans out here too, on both sides. You know, obviously the Broncos fans, but even the Cowboys fans, they were great.
Some storms in the high country, but Denver still hot and dry. That's going to change early next week.
With record-breaking heat, it is becoming essential to have air conditioner wherever you live in the metro.
For one Denver complex, that's not the case, and residents are fed up.
I got a thermometer in one of my bedrooms, and it says 92 right now. It's terrible. It's the worst summer I've ever had.